The 6 Hidden Secrets of Aging. Stronger support than your family after 60. When you turn 60 and beyond, who will truly stand by your side? In your younger years, the answer might seem obvious: family, close friends, the people you've shared your life with for decades. But as you step into your 60s, reality begins to shift. Life changes. People get busier. Priorities realign. And suddenly, the support system you once counted on may not be as solid as you believed. In this video, we're going to explore 6 essential pillars that, over time, may become even more dependable than family itself. This isn't about pushing anyone away, it's about recognizing where true stability comes from, so you're not left vulnerable when you need support the most. Because when you build a strong foundation around these 6 pillars, you gain something priceless: peace of mind, personal freedom, and the confidence to face whatever life throws your way. Stick with me until the end. These 6 pillars could completely reshape how you think about support in your later years. And once you truly understand them, you'll never feel powerless, isolated, or unprepared again. Let's dive in. 1. Financial independence after 60. Your quiet yet steady caregiver. After over 30 years of working in geriatrics and preventive medicine in the US, I've come to see a near universal truth: older adults with solid financial foundations tend to age with fewer illnesses, less depression, and a significantly better quality of life. The reason is simple, though often overlooked: money can't replace love, but it does buy autonomy, choices, and dignity. When you can pay your own medical bills, purchase mobility aids, or hire a private nurse for a few hours a day, you don't have to bow your head or feel like a burden to your children. I remember clearly 2 male patients, both 74 years old, both suffering from severe knee osteoarthritis. One lived on a small pension and had to rely on his son to buy him a wheelchair. The other had planned ahead 20 years ago. He had long-term care insurance, sufficient savings, and a transparent financial plan. The result? The second patient recovered faster, had fewer complications, and was able to decide his treatment plan without worrying about every single dollar. That reminds me of what Warren Buffett once said: if you don't find a way to make money while you sleep, you will work until you die. But after 60, working until you die is no longer a choice, and it's certainly not a solution. When your health declines, money isn't just a number, it becomes a tool to protect your dignity. If you're over 60 and feel financially unprepared, remember, it's never too late to start. Here's the financial care plan I recommend to every patient. 1. Take inventory of assets and debts. Don't fear the numbers. Clarity is the first step to freedom. 2. Create a minimalist budget. Cut emotional spending and prioritize essentials and health care. 3. Get long-term care insurance. Even after 65, many plans are still available if your health is stable. 4. Automate your emergency savings. $50 a month adds up to $3,000 in 5 years. 5. Work with an independent fiduciary advisor. Avoid those who earn commissions from your money. And most importantly, treat your health as your number 1 financial priority. Because the cost of damage control later is always far higher than the cost of prevention now. Have you ever calculated how much you could personally cover if you suddenly had to stay in the hospital for 2 weeks? Are your children truly in a financial and time position to care for you every single day, for months on end? I once met a patient much like Richard, a textbook case of generous giving without backup. He had spent freely to support his children, keeping nothing for himself. When he had a stroke and was hospitalized for 18 days, no one could afford the bill. He had to sell his ancestral home just to cover the costs. Remember, love can't pay your medical bills. But financial preparedness, that is one of the greatest acts of love, both for yourself and for those you care about. 2. Physical health, the greatest asset that defines your freedom after 60. If you think memory loss or back pain are just natural parts of aging, you may have been misled. In reality, most health problems after 60 are not inevitable, they are the result of accumulated neglect over the years. We spend our youth avoiding pain, but in old age, we must learn to avoid weakness, because physical decline doesn't just affect how you move, it affects your dignity and autonomy. I once cared for a patient named Carl, 68 years old, a retired firefighter who used to be strong and full of energy. After retirement, he decided to rest for a while. Within a year, he gained 26 pounds, became pre-diabetic, and felt exhausted after walking just a few steps. Carl tearfully told me, "I thought I had more time. Now, even breathing feels hard." His story is far from rare, sadly, it's all too common. But here's the good news, most physical changes after 60 are reversible, if addressed properly. According to a 2021 meta-analysis in The Lancet Healthy Longevity, walking just 30 minutes a day and doing strength training twice a week can reduce age-related physical decline by up to 47% in adults over 65. You don't need a gym. Just a good pair of shoes and a consistent habit. As a doctor specializing in geriatrics and rehabilitation, I often recommend my 5-minute a-day routine to patients over 60 to help them protect their bodies as if they were protecting their most valuable investment. Nutrition is also key, it's your biological armor after 60. The Mediterranean diet, rich in olive oil, fish, nuts, and leafy greens, has been proven to lower the risk of frailty by 40%. Reduce cognitive decline by 50%. Cut hospitalizations from chronic illness by 32%. Can you stand on one leg for 10 seconds without losing your balance? Are you eating for your age and vitality, or simply sticking to old habits? Elon Musk once said, "We can't change the laws of physics, but we can change how we interact with them." The same goes for your health. You can't stop time, but you can decide how your body ages. So don't forget, good health is not a gift, it's the return on wise investment. And if you can still walk, breathe deep, and chew a healthy meal, then today is a perfect day to start. 3. Social connection after 60, the priceless medicine without a prescription. In over 30 years of practicing geriatric medicine in the US, I've written thousands of prescriptions for older adults. But the most powerful treatment I know can't be written on a pad: human connection. A study from Brigham Young University based on over 3.4 million people found that social isolation doubles the risk of early death, equal to smoking 15 cigarettes a day. The CDC now recognizes loneliness as a major risk factor for heart disease, stroke, and dementia. The problem is, isolation doesn't come all at once. It creeps in. A friend passes away. A child moves out of state. A birthday comes and goes with no visitors. Then one Sunday morning, you wake up and realize you have no one to call. I remember Margaret, a 73-year-old patient, with 2 loving sons. But like many modern families, their lives became packed with work, kids, and responsibilities. Weekly visits turned to monthly, then even less. Margaret didn't want to be a bother, so she stayed silent. One day she told me, "Silence can be louder than a scream." Then, a neighbor invited her to a gardening club. That simple act pulled her out of her quiet shell. That group of ordinary seniors helped her rediscover life. At any age, the human brain is wired to connect. Hormones like oxytocin, dopamine, and serotonin, the happiness trio, are only triggered through real interaction, a hug, a handshake, a deep conversation. Without connection, stress hormone levels, like cortisol, skyrocket, immunity weakens, and chronic inflammation worsens, leading to heart disease, depression, and even cancer. MRI scans show that people who engage in meaningful conversations and group activities have more active prefrontal cortex, emotional regulation, sharper hippocampus, memory retention, calmer amygdala, stress response. In short, meaningful friendships don't just help you live longer, they help you think clearer and feel better. So how do you rebuild your social circle after 60? I don't know where to start. I hear that all the time. And I always say, start with a hello. Then say it again tomorrow. How many real, non-text, conversations have you had this week? Are you waiting for someone to reach out to you, or could you be the one to reach out first? Oprah Winfrey once said, "What every person wants is to be seen, heard, and understood." That desire doesn't fade after 60, it grows stronger. Don't wait for your kids to call. You can call. You can create new circles, not to replace your family, but to complete your emotional well-being. Because life isn't just about a heartbeat, it's about being seen, being heard, and being loved. For emotional resilience, the prescription-free remedy everyone needs after 60. As a doctor who has treated thousands of older adults across the US, I've realized something important. Loss is not unusual in later life, it's a built-in part of it. Loss of loved ones, loss of health, loss of routines, and sometimes, loss of your sense of self. I've had patients tell me, "I beat cancer, but I don't know how to live with the loneliness." That's not weakness. That's a form of emotional exhaustion, quiet, but consuming. I remember Helen, a 75-year-old woman who had been married for 42 years. When her husband passed away from pancreatic cancer, she didn't just lose her partner, she lost the last emotional anchor in her life. At first, her children came around often. But time and distance stretched the connection thin. Helen told me, "I don't feel abandoned by my family. I feel abandoned by life." But here's what amazed me, she didn't fall apart. She joined a grief support group, started meditating, planted a small garden, and kept a journal. One day, she said, "I didn't just survive. I'm slowly learning how to live again." Helen is living proof that emotional resilience is not something you're born with, it's a skill you can build. Neuroscience now confirms that emotional resilience directly impacts your overall health and even how long you live. A 2020 study by Stanford and Yale found that older adults with high emotional resilience experience 60% less depression and anxiety, maintain stronger cognitive function, especially memory and focus, have lower levels of IL-6 and CRP2 inflammation markers linked to heart disease and dementia. Why? Because when you learn to sit with your emotions instead of being swept away by them, the brain regulates stress better. The prefrontal cortex becomes more active, the amygdala reacts less, and cortisol, the stress hormone that fuels inflammation, stays in check. In simple terms, a grounded mind helps protect a sharp brain. So ask yourself, are you suppressing sadness, or are you facing it with awareness? Do you believe you're worthy of healing, even if no one else is around? Oprah Winfrey once said, "You can't move forward if you're not willing to look at your wounds." After 60, we don't need to pretend to be strong. We need to learn how to be vulnerable in the right way so we can rise again, on our own feet. If you've ever cried alone in the dark, but still got up and made breakfast the next morning, you're stronger than you think. If you've ever lost someone and still planted flowers they used to love, you're already healing. Remember, the storm always passes and the person who will always remain by your side is you. 5. Bonus reminder: emotional resilience, the medicine with no prescription but universal need. Yes, it's worth repeating. Emotional resilience is so essential, it bears repeating. I've seen this over and over. Aging isn't just about what happens to you, it's about how you respond to it. And that response can shape the course of your later years. Whether it's the silence after a loved one passes, the feeling of being left out of a conversation, or waking up to a house that's quieter than you'd like, every older adult faces these moments. But you are not powerless. The strongest people are the ones who never cry. They are the ones who cry, and then keep going. They build new meaning. They create new rituals. They choose to keep their hearts open even after they've been broken. So if today feels heavy, take this as a quiet reminder: it's okay not to be okay. But it's also okay to heal, grow, and even start again. 6. Adaptability, the superpower that helps seniors thrive through change. There's an interesting paradox in aging. As our bodies become less flexible, our mental flexibility becomes more crucial than ever. And the good news? Adaptability doesn't depend on your biological age, it depends on your mindset. I once treated Frank, a 78-year-old man who once said bluntly, "I don't use smartphones. Social media is garbage." But then his regular card club disbanded due to aging and the pandemic, and Frank found himself alone. It wasn't loud, but the loneliness was real. One day he told me, "I realized I had a choice. I could be right or I could be connected." He learned to use an iPad, joined Zoom calls, signed up for an online chess forum, took virtual museum tours, and even created a global history discussion group with members across 3 continents. Frank didn't just adapt, he transformed. And that kind of transformation is possible for anyone, even in their 80s. Neuroscience has debunked the myth that old brains can't learn new tricks. A 2023 study in Nature Neuroscience found that seniors who engage in new activities like learning tech, languages, or games show increased hippocampal density. That's the part of the brain responsible for memory and spatial awareness. Older adults with high mental flexibility also tend to report higher life satisfaction, have lower all-cause mortality, show reduced risk of depression and cognitive decline. Adaptability doesn't mean surrendering. It means being brave enough to change for your own sake. Here are 3 Simple ways to build adaptability at any age. 1. Replace I can't with I haven't tried yet. Your brain listens to what you say. Your words shape your thoughts. Your thoughts shape your actions. 2. Try one new thing every week. A new dish. A new podcast. A new walking route. Even just downloading an app you've been avoiding. 3. Get comfortable with being uncomfortable. Every bit of growth feels awkward at first. That's your sign that you're learning something important. Elon Musk once said, "All great things start with curiosity, not perfection." And curiosity is the fuel that keeps the mind young, even if the body grows older. Are you resisting change or quietly avoiding it? If a core part of your routine were disrupted tomorrow, how would you respond? In nature, the stiffest trees often break during storms. But bamboo, soft, flexible, and low to the ground, it bends, it sways, and it survives. Older adults who can bend without breaking are like that bamboo, resilient, humble, and strong. So if one door closes, look around, another path may be waiting. If an old friend is gone, perhaps a new one is just a conversation away. Aging is not the end of your story. It's just another chapter. And that chapter can be just as rich and vibrant as long as you're willing to keep writing it. As you reach your 60s and beyond, life may present unexpected challenges, whether it's health, finances, or loneliness. But remember, you hold the power to shape how you respond. The key to thriving through these changes lies in building a foundation based on financial independence, physical health, emotional resilience, social connections, and adaptability. Here's your simple action plan for today. 1. Take inventory. Know where you stand financially and physically. 2. Start small. Introduce one new healthy habit or financial step every week. 3. Reach out. Call a friend, join a new group, or reconnect with someone who brings joy to your life. 4. Be adaptable. Embrace change with curiosity, not fear. By doing these small but powerful steps, you'll be taking control of your future, because aging is not an end. It's a new chapter, one that can be just as fulfilling as any other. You have the strength to make it your best one yet. So, what will you do today to start?